Hello everyone, and welcome to the newest edition of Let's Play Skyrim. We've been basically scrounging around Riverwood for everything useful, and this should be the final installment of that. We have two buildings left to explore, the Riverwood Trader and the Sleeping Giant Inn. We can eventually become friends with the owners of both buildings, so I'm not going to steal anything that's only for selling. I'm going to wait until I'm friends with them and then just take it for free so I can sell it to regular merchants. What I am going to do is pickpocket the inhabitants and talk to them like I've been doing, and look for anything that's useful in a way other than just selling, which I'll still go ahead and steal. One other thing, I changed my recording hotkey, so now quick loading won't interrupt the recording. The only thing that really ends up impacting in this game is pickpocketing and lockpicking. So let's get started by hitting Riverwood Trader. I'm going to sneak into the top floor. I don't think there will be much in the way of stuff for me to take, but all the same, it's nice to be able to sneak about undetected, because they're both stuck on the first floor. There's nothing to the left, nothing on the table except stuff I'd sell, so let's pick the lock on this chest. But first, let's break my 5 spare lockpicks. 4, 3, 2, 1. Done. That raised lockpicking to 20. Now let's actually pick it open and see what's inside this chest. I have no use for cow hides except turning them into leather, so I'll go ahead and take it, and I'll take the 11 gold. I'll leave the cast iron pot and the wooden sword. Make sure I walk, because if they hear me, Lucan will come running upstairs. On this table, there's just 5 gold coins, which I'll take right now. And I'm not going to take these books, but I'll go ahead and read them because they're new. So this is Songs of the Return, Volume 56. The Final Tale of the Creon. The songs of the return are eternal and numerous. For those first 500, those companions of Ysgramor who cleared the way for mankind's rightful habitation, burned with a fire not seen since those days long past. Each ship carried a crew that performed legendary feats that could feed the pride of any nation for 1,000 years. And during this time of the broadening, scores of companions wandered the land, bringing the light of the proper gods to the heathen land of elves and beasts. They were but mortal, though, and in time all would taste the glories of Sovngarde. It was in one of the uncounted years after the retaking of Sarthal that the crew of the Creon was declaring their fortunes in the eastern lands near the Red Mountain. They were encamped, surrounded by bodies of murderous elves who had attempted to make them believe they held peace in their hearts. The shrewd Rorlak was the Creon's captain, though, and would show no quarter to the liars of the Southlands, as had been commanded by his lord Ysgramor, harbinger of us all. It was in this state of carousing that they were approached by a young and breathless messenger of their sister crew from the Kal Kaz. The boy, Asgir, as his name is now sung, had ran unimaginable distance at breakneck speed from the blood-stained fields of the clouded sun to deliver the news to all who would hear. When he reached their camp, he bellowed a great sob before relieving his heart with the news that the mighty Ysgramor had breathed his last. Asgir continued his swift run to inform the other crews as quickly as they could be found, for there were many now crawling the land, rendering our legacy from their deeds, and the camp of the Creon descended into a mourning of the most forlorn sort. Among these fires sat the bravest men and fiercest women who have ever graced the dirt of this land, and they were brought low by such a notion. While we in the day shine know only Ysgramor's glory as it gleams through history, these companions knew his might with their own eyes, and such a loss hangs so heavily on the heart that mere words cannot express the altering of their world. For indeed the stories tell that Rorlak, the most battle-hardened and unflinching of all captains, did collapse with grief, and never lifted again his mighty axe. And all around Tamriel, as the news spread, as a dark cloud washes from horizon to horizon, did brilliant lights go out in silent honor of their fallen general and war leader. So ended the period of the return, and the original glories of the 500 companions of Ysgramor, harbinger of us all. Let's head over here now. Looks like there's nothing on those shelves except stuff I'd sell. But we have 3 more books over here. We'll go reverse order, because why not? Songs of the Return, Volume 19, The Second Tale of the Ilgermate. When that final battle at the Barren Pass was completed, and the melting snow carried elf-blood back to the sea, the crew of the Kal Kaz, the Sadon Wraith, and the most exalted crew of our Lord's ship, the Ilgermate, at last parted ways, never to join shields again. They drew apart in that form which is not a loss, but a gain in knowing one's heart can be carried in the chests of others. So great was the love that those first of the 500 had for each other, and most especially for the great Ysgramor, harbinger of us all. They pressed eastwards, seeking the sea, when they came upon the barrow of Ingol, the mighty Ysgramor's son, who had fallen to the whims of kine rather than the treachery of the elves. Our Lord had not expected to lay eyes upon it again so soon, and his grief flowed anew at the sight of it, as a reopened wound will bleed as it did when first received. His eyes turned to the south, where a river met the sea, and decreed that there would he and the crew of the Ilgermet create a great city, in monument to the glories of mankind, that from his palace he might always look upon the hill of his dear son's resting place, and feel that his line would know peace in this new home that was never known in Atmora. The elven captives were set to work, bringing forth stone to build in their conqueror's fashion. As many elves died in the building of the city as had the crew of the Ilgermet slain while on the way to its site, and Ysgramor drove the wretches evermore to build higher, to lay a claim to the river so that none might pass into the interior of this land without first showing due respect to its rightful claimant. Thus was the great bridge constructed, forever striding the river that no elf might sneak through to avenge his devious cousins. As the bridge was built long, so too was the palace built high, spires reaching the sky to show dominion even over the very winds that had brought forth such a grief. In the deep hollows beneath the city, a great tomb was prepared for the day when Lord Ysgramor, harbinger to us all, would be called home to glory in Sovngarde. But as we know, he chose instead to be buried on the shore, facing towards Atmora, that though his heart lived and died in this new land, it would forever yearn for the beauties of still green Atmora before the freezing took it. Thus was founding of Windhelm, the city of kings, though her history is long and her glories did not end with her founder. Songs of the Return, Volume 7. The Tale of the Yorvaskar. When at last the rightful claim of Sarthal had been retaken, driving the murderous elves back to their lofty cities, did great Ysgramor turn and let loose the fearsome war cry that echoed across all the oceans. The 500 who yet stood joined in the ovation for the victory and the lament of their fallen peers. It was said to be heard on the distant and chilling green shores of Atmora, and the ancestors knew their time had come to cross the seas. As the reverberations echoed out and drowned to silence, all looked to Ysgramor, who bore the blessed Wuthrad for his next commandment. With his lungs that bellowed forth the fury of humanity, he bade them to continue their march, that the devious Mer might know the terror they had brought on themselves with their trickery. Go forth, he roared, into the belly of this new land. Drive the wretched from their palaces of idleness. Oblige them to squalor and toil, that they would see their betrayals as the all-sin against our kind. Give no quarter, show no kindness, for they would not give nor show you the same. Our great forebear gave this order, as he did not yet understand the prophecy of the twin snakes, that he would be fated to die before seeing the true destiny of his line. Hearing this, the circle of companions gathered each their crews unto themselves. From here, they decreed, we will go forth. Let each ship's band make its own way, seeking their fates to the open sun. A night spent in feasting, the oath of the companions was sworn anew, with each of the 500, so they still named their count, in honor of the shields that were broken at Sarthal, swearing to act as shield-brother and shield-sister to any of the Atmoran line where their fates to ever again entwine. As the red hands of dawn stretched from the east, so broke the 500 companions of Ysgramor, setting about their journeys, sailing now across the land with waves of stone and crests of trees flowing under their footed hulls. The first to break from the grounded fleet was the crew of the Yorvaskar, who had been formed of Ysgramor's closest friends. Their captain was known as Jeek of the River, so called by the Harbinger himself from their youth's past in glory. When assembling their glistening hull, he sought out the labors of Menro and Manwë, who now bore the native timbers across this new land of Tamriel. Among their fiercest were Tisnal, who was twice named, and Ter, his twin and shield-brother, whose girth was never spoken of to his face. There were others too in their band, Mexim the Walker, Brunel, who fought with his offhand, and Just the Smiler. These and others were sworn to Jeek, and they pushed forth into the shadows where yet the sun had not reached. Southwards they went, by beast and by foot. Elves they found, though none remained to tell what those battles entailed. The numbers of the Yorvaskar never faltered, so shrewd were they in battle, with minds as sharp as their blades. Once, as the sun beat from its high home, Jonder the Tiny, the one who ran ahead, came over the hill to tell what was seen. Amidst a vast plain his eyes had met a monument of a bird, whose eyes and beak were opened in flame. When his brothers and sisters crested the hill, they too saw its glory, but they were afraid, for no elven settlement could be seen to the horizon. "But this is not seemly," said Clúe, who went by Loate when hiding his face. "Is not this wide land fit for harvest? Why have not the elves, vile to their core, seen to exploit and tame it?" They asked of their elven captives, for they had many, what they found unfit about these plains. Yet even the captives who still bore their tongues could say nothing of the valley. They looked with fear at the winged colossus, and from their babblings did the warriors of Yorvaskar learn that it was older than even the elves themselves. Of those who wrought it solid from its mother stone, nothing could be said, but it was known to drive a magic almost as old as Nirn itself, some remnant of the god's efforts to render a paradise in Mundus before the shattering of Lorkhan. This first of many, this crew of the Yorvaskar, heathens and ancestors to us all, feared no stories or gods. Indeed, if there was something the elves feared, they would have it for their own. Thus began the labors once more of Menro and Manwë, whose eager hands again laid to the Atmoran wood which had borne them all across the sea. And what was their ship became their shelter, as this valley became their purview until the end of all their days. Thus began the building of the great city, circled by the running of the White River, as brought forth by these beloved of Ysgramor, yet but 22 of the glorious 500 companions. And last, Songs of the Return, Volume 2. The First Tale of the Darum Zu. Our great Lord Ysgramor, the harbinger of us all, did then send forth his two beloved sons, with him the only other survivors of the brutalities of Sarthal, to seek out the bravest warriors of the land and mount the great return. Ingol and Ilgar, as they were called, and they were known among Atmora as fine warriors with bright eyes and dawning futures. Ingol, the elder, was the brave strategist, bringing his learnings to bear on the battlefield that his enemies would be defeated before they even know the battle had begun. Ilgar, the younger, was possessed of an unwavering spirit that drove his singular prowess to overwhelming feats in war. Together, the mind and the arm, they were capable of sowing a destruction most thorough and glorious to any foe who stood before them. Before they parted ways to gather their crews, the two clasped arms and necks in the old fashion, and laughed at the heavens for their stories to come. Young Ilgar then took to the massive shipyards of Jilkurfik at the southern point, and commissioned 2 ships for himself and his brother. He would command the Darum Zu, and his brother the Harak. thus carrying the names of the two favored stars of their heavens. The shipmakers' spirits had been suitably filled by Ysgramor's tales of the savage elves, and they set about to birth ships that befit their noble homeland. Arrangements having been made, Ylgar set forth to the academies of honored soldiers, seeking out his most trusted friends and advisers to join him on the venture of the return. By now the stories of the new land to the south were spreading before him, and the mere emergence of his presence was enough to cause the finest warriors to lay down their present undertakings and follow him. So was he able to call to his side the great shield sisters Froa and Grosta, who thought and spoke as one, and they brought with them the wise war-teacher Adrimk, who first taught them to dance among the blades. She in turn mustered all the students at her command, whose names were not yet made, but some of whom would one day be known. Hermesker, who threw his shield, Urlak, who breathed fire, Ramph the Greater, Merkilian Ramph, and the far-sighted Uche, who would see the first of many dawns. On the day of final passage, when the many-oared fleet would last see the distant green summers of Etmora, the brothers were near in their father's wake as the freshly joined 500 would eagerly press onwards towards Tamriel. Ylgar could see his well-minded brother smiling from afar across the waves, and they shouted war cries to each other, longing for the soon day when their assembled crews would draw the treacherous elf blood into the ground, which they would now claim for their own rights. But Kyne's ministrations are not to be taken lightly, and though her blessings gave wind to drive those brave sailors to their destiny, so too did her mighty tears fall to drive them apart. When the storm of separation first arose, young Ylgar had no fear, for his crew was strong and able, and their ship drove true through the forest of swells as though pulled by the rope of fate. When the skies cleared, and Ylgar glimpsed again with new eyes the land of his past and future home, he knew his brother's vessel was not within his horizon. The Daramzu, arriving late, drew forth onto the sands, and Ylgar rushed to his father to seek word of his brother. The great Ysgramor, harbinger of us all, wept for his lost son, and sought comfort in the arms of his only remaining joy. The crew of the Harak became the first deaths among the 500, and Ylgar so enraged with love for his brother that his crew would soon be counted as first among the many noble and honored names in the companions. Alright, search the dresser, pair of clothes, and pick the lock on this novice chest. And we get 15 gold and a Horker Tusk. That's useful. Glad to have found that. I need 7 more. Alright. Now I can freely make noise because I'm just heading downstairs anyway.
Maybe you could talk some sense into my pig-headed brother.
At this point I'll go and talk to Camilla and Lucan.
You're a strapping young man. Don't be a stranger.
Or at least to Camilla.
You're not from around here. That makes 2 of us. I came here from the Imperial Province to work with my brother Lucan. It got bad back in Cyrodiil. The war with the Thalmor ruined everything. I came to Skyrim looking for a better life. So what did I get? Another war. I just want to find a good husband and start a family of my own. Need something?
Alright, let's look around behind her first. I want the 3 salt piles out of this barrel. Nothing on that shelf, nothing in that barrel. What about that one? No. Nothing on Camilla's table.
Yes.
So let's make sure I'm hidden from her, and then we'll go ahead and pick her pocket. Starting with Alto Wine.
Think you can steal?
Pickpocket increased to 31. An Amethyst. Pickpocket increased to 32. And I gained a level. Huzzah! We'll put that point into health. Looks like no crafting perks are available still. Where was I? I had Armsman 2. I'll just go to the next skill in line. I'll take Overdraw 1 on the archery tree. Just make note of what I've chosen here. And save and keep going. Idar Cheese Wedge.
You're not getting...
Faendal's fake letter from Sven.
Think you can...
Go ahead and take it back. Why not? 12 gold. Key to Riverwood Trader. A lockpick. Sven's fake letter from Faendal. And the silver garnet ring. That raises pickpocket to 33, and it's also, I think, my 4th of 5 rings that I need, ultimately, for my crafting cycle. So, awesome. Alright, we're done with Camilla. Let's roll over here. Nothing on the mantle, or in front of the fireplace, or on her table. Lucan's bar here. I see some gold coins I'll want. And I want these iron arrows.
Put that down!
Let's just find the spot where I'm hidden and take them one at a time. That shouldn't be too bad. Okay, if I search the steel sword and iron mace, no need for those. Nothing I need in the dresser. There's some things I need in the chest, so let's just back up to a spot where I'm hidden. I will take the 12 gold, the deer hide, and the horker tusk. The deer hide, I need 11 more, and with the horker tusk, I need 6 more. I'll leave the charcoal in the tankard. Nothing in that barrel. Nothing on these shelves. Nothing inside that cupboard. Nothing on that cupboard. So that leaves...
You, my friend,
I don't need the iron helmet or the iron sword. I do want these 4 gold coins. It'll be really funny if I actually do have to
Riverwood Trader is everything you need.
pick
in the
them up
general
and
store.
hide. It's no big deal, though. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Under here, there's just that coin purse, which I do want.
Careful with that.
You dirty thief!
Dang it. Camilla spotted me.
My sister Camilla or I will be happy to help you.
There we go. And lastly, I do want the ingredients out of here. So that'll include those 2 garlic braids. I want that frost Miriam. And I want the 2 elves' ears. And it looks like I got them. Good. Alright, let's pickpocket Lucan before we talk to him. He's got an alto wine, a honey nut treat, a key to the Riverwood
Nice.
Trader,
Nice,
a lockpick,
nice.
a ring of minor magicka. Now we already have the Fortify Magicka
Think you can-
enchantment, so... But that does raise pickpocket to 35, and he's got a silver ring, which is the final ring that I ultimately need. That's good. Eliminate a category from the list. And finally, an iron dagger, which raises pickpocket to 36. Now let's talk to Lucan.
We carry just about anything you could need. I know some of it looks like junk, but everything's a treasure in the right light. Huh?
Alright. Did something happen?
Yeah, we did have a bit of a break-in. We still have plenty to sell. Robbers were only after one thing. An ornament. Solid gold in the shape of a dragon's claw.
I could help you get the claw back.
You could? I've got some coin coming in from my last shipment. It's yours if you bring my claw back. Now, if you're going to get those thieves, you should head to Bleak Falls Barrow, northeast of town.
Alright, the Golden Claw started. This, with no real marking at all, is just a generic side quest. You can see the same marking up here on the miscellaneous. The Golden Claw. Lucan Valerius in Riverwood is offering me a gold reward if I retrieve his antique golden claw, stolen by bandits camped in Bleak Falls Barrow.
So this is your plan?
Yes. So now you don't have to go, do you?
Oh, really? Well, I think your new helper here needs a guide.
Well, no, by the 8, fine. But only to the edge of town.
Alright, let's follow Camilla, listen to what she has to say, and then we'll go hit the Sleeping Giant Inn. Come on. There we go.
We have to go through town and across the bridge to get to Bleak Falls Barrow. You can see it from here, though. The mountain just over the buildings. Those thieves must be mad hiding out there. Those old crypts are filled with nothing but traps, what else? I wonder why they only stole Lucan's golden claw. I mean, we have plenty of things in the shop that are worth just as much coin. Lucan found the claw about a year after he opened the store. He never quite explained where he got it. He's a tricky one. This is the bridge out of town. The path up the mountain to the northwest leads to Bleak Falls Barrow. I guess I should get back to my brother. He'll throw a fit if I take too long. Such a child. Mara bless you for agreeing to help us.
How much farther do I have to walk?
Well, it's a winding road up the mountain just ahead. You'll know you're in the right place once you spot the old watchtower. Once you get to the tower, head north. Bleak Falls Barrow should be just around the corner further up.
Alright.
Good luck. Lucan and I will be waiting for you back in the shop.
Soon enough, but first let's head to the Sleeping Giant Inn. We only have 3 people left to handle. That's pretty good news. 3:10 a.m. This is actually the best time to clear the inn because the innkeeper, or the owner, Delphine, follows you around rather obsessively. It's very hard to get hidden, except when she's asleep. So, let's clear her room out right now. Again, only stuff I don't need to sell in order to be useful, so 4 gold and a coin purse here in her room. Sneak went up, very good. A book, Fall from Glory, by Nephilis Lidari. The Thieves' Guild of Skyrim is something of an enigma. Within the last few decades, their order has gone from one of the largest, most influential criminal organizations in all of Tamriel to a small group of stragglers barely able to wreak havoc in their home city of Riften. Although evidence that could explain this rapid decline has never surfaced, speculation has run rampant. One theory holds that the guild suffered a loss. It's strongly believed that their guildmaster was slain by one of their own. This guildmaster, known only as Gallus, maintained strong ties with many of the influential families in Skyrim. When he perished, those bonds perished with him. Without these bonds, the guild could no longer safely operate within Skyrim's holds. A second theory suggests that the guild is experiencing some sort of mystical curse, causing normal activities for its members to become exceedingly difficult. While there is no solid evidence to support this theory, the last 2 decades have seen an unusual rise in failed attempts by the guild to execute highly lucrative heists. Reasons for the presence of this supposed curse is being attributed to everything from the aforementioned murder to divine interference. In order to solve this mystery once and for all, I've spent the last 2 years infiltrating the Thieves' Guild. Initially making contact with them in Riften proved difficult, as they're quite wary of outsiders, but through repeated efforts I was able to gain their confidence. It's my hope that once I've gained access to some of the guild leadership, I can learn more about their decline and publish a second volume of my work. Although helping the guild perform their petty crimes brands me as a criminal, I feel that it's a burden worth bearing. The mystery of the Thieves' Guild's fall from power needs to be solved once and for all as a matter of record and as a footnote to Skyrim's history. Wardrobe requires a key to unlock. Interesting. So over here, there's another coin purse, 14 gold. Nothing I need inside that sack. Let's check out her chest. 13 gold and another Horker Tusk. With that, I believe I only need 5 more. That's right. 5 more Horker Tusks. Excellent. Now, since I can hide from her here, let's go ahead and pick her pockets. Now, she's got an orcish bow. That's an upgrade, so we want it for sure. I got it my first try. I can hardly believe that. Pickpocket increased to 37. 25 steel arrows. 13 gold. A key to the Sleeping Giant Inn. Useless because it never locks. 3 potions of minor healing. 2, 1, 0. Not quite. 0. Pickpocket increased to 38. 3 potions of plentiful healing. 2. 1. Pickpocket increased to 39. 0. A sack of flour. I'm going to leave the torch because, for whatever reason, they're the only item in the game. No merchant, even with all the perks, ever buys torches. So there's no reason to steal it. So let's take this silver ring, which is superfluous. It's my first superfluous ring. That's fine. Now, normally I'd wake her up and talk to her, but before I do that, I want to take the opportunity to get everything I want out of this room. You'll notice that a few things don't qualify as stealing, so for whatever reason, I was able to take those potatoes.
Drink too. I cook.
Let's get these ingredients. Frost Miriam, Elf's Ear, and 2 garlic braids. Let's go behind Orgnar's bar now. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gold coins, a coin purse, and a book to read. There Be Dragons by Torhall Bjork. The last known sighting of a dragon in Tamriel was in the time of Tiber Septim. He made a pact with the few remaining dragons, swearing to protect them if they would serve him. Despite his promise, dragons were still hunted and slain. It's not clear if the last ones fled Tamriel or if they were exterminated. There is no credible story of how dragons came to be. According to Dromora that the College of Whispers have questioned, they just were and are, eternal, immortal, unchanging, and unyielding. They are not born or hatched, they do not mate or breed. There are no known examples of dragon eggs or dragonlings. The Iliac Bay area has stories of such things, but so far all have proven false. The eggs turned out to be eggs of other reptiles. The small dragons were merely oversized lizards and no relation to true dragons. Although they are not born, dragons can die. During the Dragon War of the Merethic era, their numbers were decimated. The Akaviri invaders of the late First Era are said to have hunted and killed scores of them, before and after their defeat by Emperor Riemann. Some sources say the Akaviri brought over dragon-killing spells. Others claim they built cunning traps. One tale even speaks of a rare poison. It is well accepted that a dragon's most fearsome weapon is its fiery breath. Because they could fly overhead and rain down flaming death, archers and wizards were necessary when hunting them. It is less well known that some dragons could breathe a freezing spray of frost. The reports indicate that dragon might do one or the other, but not both. Most people think of dragons as mere beasts. However, logically they must have had language in order for Tiber Septim to have negotiated with them. Indeed, the historical record is quite clear that dragons were highly intelligent. They had their own language, but could also speak the languages of men and elves. The records of Riemann's hunts contain reports of dragons that breathe or spit fire. Recently, some were unearthed that described dragons blowing freezing blasts of cold. The more fanciful tales have them summoning storms and even stopping time. These should be discounted as myths and fairy tales. Even without this most fearsome weapon, their nearly impenetrable hide and granite-like teeth and claws made them terrifying opponents. There is some confusion over when the last dragon was killed. It seems the last few vanished all at once. Some tales speak of a dragon king who devoured all of them rather than let mankind kill them. One of the more far-fetched stories has Tiber Septim absorbing their essences when he ascended to godhood. Although the exact cause is unknown, they are all gone. No dragon has been seen for centuries. There are a few known examples of dragon bones fused with the stone and rocks of cliffs and caves, just enough proof to make the stories undeniable. Alright. Is there anything else on or around his bar? No. There's nothing besides stuff I'd like to sell on any of these tables. Let's just check these 2 barrels. Search, not steal. We have 5 more potatoes. And in this one, fish. A Bishan longfin, clam meat, river betty, salmon meat, and a salt pile. Alright. Time to check the 2 bedrooms. Let's start in here. That chest is empty. That dresser has nothing useful. In this room, empty chest, a wardrobe with nothing useful, and one last book, The Great War. A concise account of the Great War between the Empire and the Aldmeri Dominion by Legate Justianus Quintius. Author's note: much of what is written in this book is pieced together from documents captured from the enemy during the war, interrogation of prisoners, and eyewitness accounts from surviving soldiers and imperial officers. I myself commanded the 10th Legion in Hammerfell and Cyrodiil until I was wounded in 175 during the assault on the imperial city. That said, the full truth of some events may never be known. I have done my best to fill in the gaps with educated conjectures based on my experience, as well as my hard-earned knowledge of the enemy. The rise of the Thalmor. Although it is not well known, Somerset Isle suffered from the Oblivion crisis as much as Cyrodiil did. The elves made war upon the Oblivion invaders, occasionally even crossing over to close down Oblivion gates. As a nation they had more successes than Cyrodiil did, although the limitless Daedric hordes made the outcome a foregone conclusion. The Thalmor had always been a powerful faction within Somerset Isle, but had also always been a minority voice. During the crisis, the Crystal Tower was forced to give the Thalmor greater power and authority. Their efforts almost certainly saved Somerset Isle from being overrun. They capitalized on their success to seize total control in 4th Era 22. They renamed the nation Alienor, which harkens back to an earlier age before the ascendancy of man. Most people outside of the Aldmeri Dominion still call it Somerset Isle, either out of peevishness or ignorance. In 4th Era 29, the government of Valenwood was overthrown by Thalmor collaborators and a union with Alienor proclaimed. It appears that Thalmor agents had formed close ties to certain Bosmeri factions even before the Oblivion crisis. The Empire and its Bosmer allies, caught completely off guard, were quickly defeated by the much better prepared Altmer forces that invaded Valenwood on the heels of the coup. Thus was the Aldmeri Dominion reborn. Shortly afterward, the Aldmeri Dominion severed all contact with the Empire. For 70 years they were silent. Most scholars believe there was some sort of internal strife in Alienor, but very little is known of the factional struggles that went on inside the Dominion, while the Thalmor consolidated its power in Somerset and Valenwood. In 4th Era 98, the 2 moons, Massor and Secunda, vanished. Within most of the Empire, this was viewed with trepidation and fear. and elsewhere it was far worse. Culturally, the moons are much more influential to the Khajiit. After 2 years of the Void Nights, the moons returned. The Thalmor announced that they had restored the moons using previously unknown dawn magics, but it is unclear if they truly restored the moons, or just took advantage of foreknowledge that they would return. Regardless of the truth of the matter, the Khajiit credited the Thalmor as their saviors. Within 15 years, imperial influence in elsewhere had so diminished that the Empire was unable to respond effectively to the coup of 4th Era 115, which dissolved the Elsewhere Confederacy and recreated the ancient kingdoms of Enequina and Palatine as client states of the Aldmeri Dominion. Once more the Empire failed to stop the advance of Thalmor power. When Titus Mede II ascended the throne in 4th Era 168, he inherited a weakened empire. The glory days of the Septims were a distant memory. Valenwood and Elsewhere were gone, ceded to the Thalmor enemy. Black Marsh had been lost to imperial rule since the aftermath of the Oblivion Crisis. Morrowind had never recovered fully from the eruption of Mount Vardenfell. Hammerfell was plagued by infighting between crowns and forebears. Only High Rock, Cyrodiil, and Skyrim remained prosperous and peaceful. Emperor Titus Mede had only a few short years to consolidate his rule before his leadership was put to the ultimate test. The war begins. On the 30th of Frostfall, 4th Era 171, the Aldmeri Dominion sent an ambassador to the Imperial City with a gift in a covered cart and an ultimatum for the new emperor. The long list of demands included staggering tributes, disbandment of the Blades, outlawing the worship of Talos, and ceding large sections of Hammerfell to the Dominion. Despite the warnings of his generals of the Empire's military weakness, Emperor Titus Mede II rejected the ultimatum. The Thalmor ambassador upended the cart, spilling over 100 heads on the floor, every Blades agent in Somerset and Valenwood. And so began the Great War, which would consume the Empire and the Aldmeri Dominion for the next 5 years. Within days, Aldmeri armies invaded Hammerfell and Cyrodiil simultaneously. A strong force commanded by the Thalmor general Lord Narathine attacked its Cyrodiil from the south, marching out of hidden camps in northern Elsewhere and flanking the Imperial defenses along the Valenwood border. Leowyn soon fell to the invaders, while Breville was cut off and besieged. At the same time, an Aldmeri army under Lady Aranelia crossed into western Cyrodiil from Valenwood, bypassing Anvil and Kvatch and crossing into Hammerfell. Smaller Aldmeri forces landed along the southern coastline of Hammerfell. The disunited Redguard forces offered only scattered resistance to the invaders, and much of the southern coastline was quickly overrun. The greatly outnumbered Imperial legions retreated across the Alikir Desert in the now famous March of Thirst. 4th Era 172 to 173, the Aldmeri advance into Cyrodiil. It appears now that the initial Aldmeri objective was in fact the conquest of Hammerfell, and that the invasion of Cyrodiil was intended only to pin down the Imperial legions while Hammerfell was overrun. However, the surprising initial success of Lord Narathine's attack led the Thalmor to believe that the Empire was weaker than they had thought. The capture of the Imperial city itself and the complete overthrow of the Empire thus became their primary objective of the next 2 years. As we know, the Thalmor nearly achieved their objective. It was only because of our Emperor's determined leadership during the Empire's darkest hour that this disaster was averted. During 4th Era 172, the Aldmeri advanced deeper into Cyrodiil. Breville and Anvil both fell to the invaders. By the end of the year, Lord Narathine had advanced to the very walls of the Imperial city. There were fierce naval clashes in Lake Rumari and along the Niben as the Imperial forces attempted to hold the eastern bank. In Hammerfell, the Thalmor were content to consolidate their gains as they took control of the whole southern coastline, which was in fact their stated objective in the ultimatum delivered to the Emperor. Of the southern cities, only Hegathe still held out. The survivors of the March of Thirst regrouped in northern Hammerfell, joined by reinforcements from High Rock. The year 4th Era 173 saw stiffening Imperial resistance in Cyrodiil, but the seemingly inexorable Aldmeri advance continued. Fresh legions from Skyrim bolstered the Emperor's main army in the Imperial city, but the Aldmeri forced the crossing of the Niben and began advancing in force up the eastern bank. By the end of the year, the Imperial city was surrounded on 3 sides. Only the northern supply route to Bruma remained open. In Hammerfell, Imperial fortunes took a turn for the better. In early 4th Era 173, a forebear army from Sentinel broke the siege of Hegathe, a crown city, leading to the reconciliation of the two factions. Despite this, Lady Aranelia's main army succeeded in crossing the Alikir Desert. The Imperial legions under General Decianus met them outside Skaven in a bloody and indecisive clash. Decianus withdrew and left Aranelia in possession of Skaven, but the Aldmeri were too weakened to continue their advance. 4th Era 174. The Sack of the Imperial City. In 4th Era 174, the Thalmor leadership committed all available forces to the campaign in Cyrodiil, gambling on a decisive victory to end the war once and for all. During the spring, Aldmeri reinforcements gathered in southern Cyrodiil, and on 12th of Second Seed, they launched a massive assault on the Imperial city itself. One army drove north to completely surround the city, while Lord Narafine's main force attacked the walls from the south, east, and west. The Emperor's decision to fight his way out of the city rather than make a last stand was a bold one. No general dared advise him to abandon the capital, but Titus II was proven right in the end. While the 8th Legion fought a desperate and doomed rearguard action on the walls of the city, Titus II broke out of the city to the north with his main army, smashing through the surrounding the Aldmeri forces and linking up with reinforcements marching south from Skyrim under General Jana. Meanwhile, however, the capital fell to the invaders and the infamous sack of the Imperial city began. The Imperial palace was burned, the white gold tower itself looted, and all manner of atrocities carried out by the vengeful elves on the innocent populace. In Hammerfell, General Decianus was preparing to drive the Aldmeri back from Skaven when he was ordered to march for Cyrodiil. Unwilling to abandon Hammerfell completely, he allowed a great number of invalids to be discharged from the legions before they marched east. These veterans formed the core of the army that eventually drove Lady Aranelia's forces back across the Alikir late in 174, taking heavy losses on their retreat from harassing attacks by the Alikir warriors. 4th Era 175. The Battle of the Red Ring. During the winter of 4th Era 174 to 175, the Thalmor seemed to have believed that the war in Cyrodiil was all but over. Sorry about that interruption, got a phone call. During the winter of 4th Era 174 to 175, the Thalmor seemed to have believed that the war in Cyrodiil was all but over. They made several attempts to negotiate with Titus II. The Emperor encouraged them in their belief that he was preparing to surrender. Meanwhile, he gathered his forces to retake the Imperial city. In what is now known as the Battle of the Red Ring, a battle that will serve as a model for Imperial strategists for generations to come, Titus II divided his forces into three. One army, with the legions from Hammerfell under General Decianus, was hidden in the Colovian highlands near Coral. The Aldmeri were unaware that he was no longer in Hammerfell, possibly because the Imperial veterans Decianus had left behind led Lady Aranelia to believe that she still faced an Imperial army. The second army, largely of Nord legions under General Jana, took up position near Shadenhall. The main army was commanded by the Emperor himself, and would undertake the main assault of the Imperial city from the north. On the 30th of Rain's Hand, the bloody Battle of the Red Ring began as General Decianus swept down on the city from the west, while General Jana's legionnaires drove south along the Red Ring Road. In a 2-day assault, Jana's army crossed the Niben and advanced west, attempting to link up with Decianus's legions and thus surround the Imperial city. Lord Narafine was taken by surprise by Decianus's assault, but Jana's troops faced bitter resistance as the Aldmeri counterattacked from Breville and Skingrad. The heroic Nord legionnaires held firm, however, beating off the piecemeal Aldmeri attacks. By the 5th day of the battle, the Aldmeri army in the Imperial city was surrounded. Titus II led the assault from the north, personally capturing Lord Narafine. It is rumored the Emperor wielded the famed sword Goldbrand, although this has never been officially confirmed by the Imperial government. An attempt by the Aldmeri to break out of the city to the south was blocked by the unbreakable shield wall of General Jana's battered legions. In the end, the main Aldmeri army in Cyrodiil was completely destroyed. The Emperor's decision to withdraw from the Imperial city in 4th Era 174 was bloodily vindicated. Lord Narafine was kept alive for 33 days, hanging from the White Gold Tower. It is not recorded where his body was buried, if it was buried at all. One source claims he was carried off by a winged Daedra on the 34th day. The White Gold concorded in the end of the war. Although victorious, the Imperial armies were in no shape to continue the war. The entire remaining Imperial force was gathered in Cyrodiil, exhausted and decimated by the Battle of the Red Ring. Not a single legion had more than half its soldiers fit for duty. 2 legions had been effectively annihilated, not counting the loss of the 8th during the retreat from the Imperial city the previous year. Titus II knew that there would be no better time to negotiate peace, and late in 4th Era 175, the Empire and the Aldmeri Dominion signed the White Gold Concordat, ending the Great War. The terms were harsh, but Titus II believed that it was necessary to secure peace and give the Empire a chance to regain its strength. The 2 most controversial terms of the Concordat were the banning of the worship of Talos and the cession of a large section of southern Hammerfell, most of what was already occupied by Aldmeri forces. Critics have pointed out that the Concordat is almost identical to the ultimatum the Emperor rejected 5 years earlier. However, there is a great difference between agreeing to such terms under the mere threat of war and agreeing to them at the end of a long and destructive war. No part of the Empire would have accepted these terms in 4th Era 171, dictated by the Thalmor at Sword's Point. Titus II would have faced civil war. By 4th Era 175, most of the Empire welcomed peace at almost any price. Epilogue: Hammerfell fights on alone. Hammerfell, however, refused to accept the White Gold Concordat, being unwilling to concede defeat and the loss of so much of their territory. Titus II was forced to officially renounce Hammerfell as an imperial province in order to preserve the hard-won peace treaty. The Red Guards understandably looked on this as a betrayal. In this, the Thalmor certainly achieved one of their long-term goals by sowing lasting bitterness between Hammerfell and the Empire. In the end, the heroic Red Guards fought the Aldmeri Dominion to a standstill, although the war lasted for 5 more years and left southern Hammerfell devastated. The Red Guards say that this proves that the White Gold Concordat was unnecessary, and that if Titus II had kept his nerve, the Aldmeri could have been truly defeated by the combined forces of Hammerfell and the rest of the Empire. The truth of that assertion can, of course, never be known. But the Red Guards should not forget the great sacrifice of Imperial blood, Breton, Nord, and Cyrodiilic, at the Battle of the Red Ring, that weakened the Dominion enough to allow the eventual Second Treaty of Stros-Mackay in 4th Era 180, and the withdrawal of Aldmeri forces from Hammerfell. There can be no doubt that the current peace cannot last forever. The Thalmor take the long view, as is proved by the sequence of events leading up to the Great War. All those who value freedom and over tyranny can only hope that before it is too late, Hammerfell and the Empire will be reconciled and stand united against the Thalmor threat. Otherwise, any hope to stem the tide of Thalmor rule over all of Tamriel is dimmed. Alright, well that's it for inside this building. Let's go talk to Delphine now. We already picked her pocket.
You're that visitor been poking around. I'm the innkeeper. It's my business to keep track of strangers.
She's going back to sleep. I hate it when that happens.
We don't get a lot of travelers here in Riverwood. The war keeps most folks away these days. Most of my customers are locals, come here to relax after a hard day's toil.
I guess it's not that bad if she's going up and down and up and down.
So what's your story? Just here to relax? You look like you could use an ale. If you're staying the night, I've got a free room. Wanderer like you must have quite an appetite. Some food?
Heard any rumors lately?
They say a dragon attacked Helgen. Sounds like hogwash to me.
Heard any rumors lately?
Word is Ulfric Stormcloak escaped from the Imperials. War's only going to get worse now.
Alright, that leaves 2. Let's go to Embry next. First, let's pick his pockets. Ale. Apple pie. 9 gold. Well, we should get hidden from him. There we go. 9 gold. Key to Sleeping Giant Inn. 2 lockpicks.
Think you can...
Pickpocket increased to 40. And Ring of the Minor Knight, which we will be able to disenchant for the Fortify Heavy Armor enchantment.
You little...
As soon as we successfully lift it. 41% isn't bad odds. This one shouldn't take too long. Pickpocket increased to 41. And I gained another level. Well, let's put another point into health. Nothing available here. So I'll go to the next skill, Light Armor. And I will take Agile Defender 1 as my perk. Alright, let's talk to Embry now.
What do you want? Out of my way, stranger. Need something?
Here, have a drink on
Got
me.
any ale or mead?
We can give him the ale. And technically, that completes a quest. The quest all drunks have is its name in the creation kit. So I'll take that off my list right quick. Embry will do a little dance, and meanwhile we can pickpocket the ale we gave him back, because he's an idiot. Last, we got Orgnar. Let's pick his pocket
Watch what
first.
you're doing.
Ale.
You're not getting...
Amethyst. Pickpocket to 42. 6 gold. A jug of milk.
You're not getting... Why?
Key to Sleeping Giant Inn. Lockpick. Silver ring. And an iron dagger. Pickpocket to 43. Awesome. Now let's talk to him.
We got rooms and food. Drink, too. I cook. Ain't much else to tell. Need a room? Talk to Delphine. I'm just a cook, lad. I ain't looking to make friends. Alright then. You like skeever liver? No? Tough luck. Food's hot. Never said it was good.
I'm looking for work. Got any leads?
Here, take a look at this. Some of the Jarl's men came by and left this bounty letter.
Kill the bandit leader located at Valheim
Alright,
Keep. Go ahead and mark that. There are 4 different bounty quests. I just want to make sure I do one of each iteration. There's bandit bounties, forsworn bounties, which are only available in the Reach, giant bounties, and dragon bounties. And in addition, there are 4 different types of bounty notes, one for each. So, bounty, weight 0. Bounty, by order of Balgruf the Greater, to all able-bodied men and women of Whiterun. The bandits located in Valheim Keep have been harassing, robbing, and attacking citizens and visitors. A reward will be offered to anyone who kills their leader, Proventus Avenici. Fair enough. Where can I learn more about magic?
Looking to blow yourself up? I hear that's what magic does to you. There's a college in Winterhold that teaches magic, unless that blew up too. Be a lot safer just to have the Jarl's wizard teach you a thing or two.
Heard any rumors lately?
There have been whispers. A boy up in Windhelm, name of Aventus Aretino, been trying to contact the Dark Brotherhood.
Talk to Aventus Aretino.
Have you seen that shrine of Azura? They say the Dark Elves built it after they fled from Morrowind. Sight to see.
Visit the Shrine of Azura.
They say a dragon attacked Helgen. Sounds like hogwash to me.
Alright. Let's go ahead and activate those 2. And we are done. Riverwood is cleared out. Let me just quickly I'm going to process the cowhide I got from Riverwood Trader into leather. Just use Alvor's tanning rack to do that. I get 3 leather from a cowhide, so I need 2 more leather in order to round out my crafting cycle. And apologies, I'll be right back. Okay, so 2 more, I need 2 more leathers. Next, let's go see Lucan and just sell off that little bit of food I was able to pick up in Sleeping Giant Inn without stealing. Clam meat, 8 potatoes, and 5 salmon meat. Oh, and look, for whatever reason, even though I pickpocketed those, he'll take them as well. Okay, time to head back to Anissa's cabin. En route, I'm going to activate the Mage Stone because I did get 1 disenchantable ring. Let's put the Mage Stone on, and then head to our house. I'm doing a full-on crafting session now. I consider the end of Riverwood the actual end of a location, which is what I use to trigger a crafting session. So my Imperial bow was also stolen, so I'll put it in there. Those iron daggers are stolen. There's my new Orcish bow. Better, fancier, love it. Ring of Minor Magicka will be stolen. I got 2 extra rings, which are both stolen, so I'll put them in here. Keep those 2 to stash. These potions will just be sold. Same with every bit of food in here, save the Haunting Brew mead. And that's it for that. I didn't find any unique items. I do want to rest an hour, because I'm about to disenchant something. Alright, let's finish offloading first. As far as things I need to turn in for quests. Did I really not find any? Oh no, I got a deer hide, 3 horker tusks. Crafting cycle stuff. My last couple of rings. Still nothing in there. And 3 leathers. 2 amethysts will go in the smithing sack. For now, I'll stick the ingredients in this satchel, even though I'll be back to make potions very shortly. I think that just leaves me with the Ring of the Minor Knight. So let's quickly disenchant it. We learned the Fortify Heavy Armor enchantment, and the enchanting skill goes up to 22. Not bad. And now let's hop out, and put the Thief Stone back on, and have a potion crafting session. Barely been 1 hour, so I'm still rested. Oh, let's make some potions. First, I need to inventory my ingredients, and this will be big. Definitely the biggest potion session we've had so far. 1 Abetian Longfin, 2 bees, 1 beehive husk, 3 blue dartwing, 5 blue mountain flower, 2 canis root, 8 chicken's egg, 18 elf's ear, 2 fly amanita, 12 frost miriam, 23 garlic, 1 hawk beak, 3 hawk feathers, 1 honeycomb, 5 Luna Moth Wing, 9 Moratapanella, 2 Orange Dartwing, 4 Purple Mountain Flower, 7 Red Mountain Flower, 1 River Betty, 24 Salt Pile, 1 Slaughterfish Egg, 42 Thistle Branch, and 3 Troll Fat. Alright, let's see what we can do with all that. First potion, Hawkbeak, River Betty, Salt Pile. That gives me Fortify carry weight on the River Betty and the Hawkbeak. Alright, I have that accounted for now. Let's keep going. Next potion, Bee, Fly Amanita, Troll Fat. That's a big one. I got regenerates. Let's go in order with the ingredients. So on B, I got regenerate stamina. On Fly Amanita, I got regenerate stamina, fortify two-handed, and frenzy. And on Troll Fat, I got, I believe, fortify two-handed and frenzy. Yes. And that raised alchemy to 30, which is the prerequisite for the very useful perk, Benefactor. So that'll be the next perk I take, almost certainly. Let me make sure, did I already get Physician? I thought I did, but I'd like to be sure. Yes, I did. Okay, good. Let's keep going then. We can make another of that last potion with the bee, the amanita, and the troll fat. Next, garlic, lunamoth wing, and salt pile. I got regenerate health on lunamoth wing and garlic. Very valuable effect. And that's actually the last effect we needed to find on garlic. So we have learned all of those. I can make 5 of these. The lunamoth wing is the limiting reagent. And in doing so, alchemy raises to 31. Excellent. This is just my way of pausing it while my app calculates. Next potion, garlic, orange dartwing, and slaughterfish egg. No new effects there, but it was sufficient to raise alchemy to 32. Next, Abetian longfin, garlic, and salt pile. Next, beehive husk, canis root, and hawk feathers. Aha! That's lots of new effects there. So starting on beehive husk, I got fortify sneak and fortify light armor. On canis root, I got fortify one-handed. And so on hawk feathers, I got fortify sneak, fortify one-handed, and fortify light armor. Excellent. And I can only make one of those, and it's already done. Next potion, blue dartwing, blue mountain flower, and chicken's egg. which gets me damage magicka regen on Chicken's Egg. Very valuable effect in terms of potion value. I can make 3 of those. Doing so is sufficient to raise alchemy to 33. Terrific. Next potion is Garlic, Salt Pile, and Thistle Branch. Gives me resist poison on Thistle Branch. I can make a whopping 16 of these. Let's go ahead and do it and see where I end up. Alchemy goes all the way to 36 at the end of that run. So you can see, as long as you're thorough about ingredient hunting, alchemy will definitely be the first crafting skill you max out. And as long as you're careful about what potions you make. Blue Mountain Flower and Chicken's Egg. Didn't learn anything new. Frost Miriam, Orange Dartwing, and Purple Mountain Flower. We got Ravage Magicka on Orange Dartwing and Frost Miriam. That's the final effect for Orange Dartwing. And it might be it for Frost Miriam, too. It is. So we've learned all the effects of Frost Miriam and Orange Dartwing with that potion. Cool. Next potion, Frost Miriam, Honeycomb, and Purple Mountain Flower. This gives us Restore Stamina on Honeycomb. That's not much, but it's better than nothing. Next is Canis Root, Elves Ear, and Hawk Feathers. Gives me Fortify Marksman on Canis Root. Next is Frost Miriam, Purple Mountain Flower, Red Mountain Flower. That gives me Ravage Magicka on Red Mountain Flower, which is its final effect. So we know all 4 on that one. And that is sufficient to raise alchemy to 37. Not bad. Still not finished. There's still more we can do. Just as soon as my little calculator finishes working. Frost Miriam, Hawk Feathers, Thistle Branch. Next, Frost Miriam, Thistle Branch, Troll Fat. That we learn Resist Poison on Troll Fat. Very cool. Next, Frost Miriam, Red Mountain Flower, and Thistle Branch. Frost Miriam and Thistle Branch. And finally, Elves Ear and Moratapanella. Gives me Restore Magicka on Elves Ear. This is the final one we're gonna make. Let's see if I can get alchemy to 38 before the end. Nope, not quite. So that is that. We are done making potions. So let's put our spare ingredients back in the satchel. But we're not quite done. We need to offload these potions to Lucan. Let's head to Riverwood to do that. This is almost definitely going to be way more than he can afford to buy. Which means we'll hopefully be able to trade for some things we need in the future. Not really much I can do now. Not really much I can do until all 3 crafting skills hit 100. That'll take a while.
The sooner you... Oh, a bit of this and a bit of that.
But let's go sell him some potions. Speech to 29. We level up. Let's put the point into health. Let's jump over to alchemy and grab Benefactor. Excellent. Let me make note of that right quick. Good, good, good.
Time. Trinkets,
to it
odds
now.
and ends, that sort of thing.
52 gold. What can he afford? 19 gold. That's it. Gotta buy something. What does he have? He's got 2 glass. Might as well get that. With those 2, I only need 45 more glass. That's good. The goat hide, I need 6 more. The horker tusk, I need 4 more. Leather strips. Well, first I think I can sell him another potion, but what do I have to get to? Okay. Leather strips. He's got 10 leather strips. I need 20 more for my crafting cycle, so if I buy these off of him, that number drops to 10. Excellent. Well, he's kind of low on useful stuff, but he does have a mammoth tusk, which I needed 1 more of, so that will eventually go to Medici. And a saber cat pelt. That's the last one of those I need. So, let's sell him some more potions. 4 gold. Still. Well, maybe it's time to actually make a little progress on enchanting. Let's buy these 2 common soul gems, and then we can actually enchant a couple of items with them. Speech increased to 30. And I also need a couple of items, cheap ones, that I'm able to just enchant. What's the cheapest thing he's got? The hide bracers and the leather boots, certainly. I can enchant those. Let's sell him some more potions. Alright. He's got nothing I want in here, here, or here. I can get some enchanting effects from him. That's not a bad idea. I certainly want to get Fortify Smithing. So let's buy that. Let's see what else I can sell him. Speech to 31. Speech to 32. Alright. I can have Fortify Stamina, Fortify Pickpocket, Alteration and Magicka Regen, Destruction and Magicka Regen, or Restoration and Magicka Regen. The rest of that I don't really particularly need, just in terms of collecting effects. So let's start with Fortify Stamina. And sell him more potions. Okay, we can call it good there. Although after I enchant those bracers, I'll have to come, bracers and boots, I'll have to come sell those off as well. So let's head back here. I know this must seem tedious, but it's worth doing, I promise. Let's throw the Mage Stone back on, because suddenly we've got a little more disenchanting, plus a little bit of actual enchanting to do. And much like alchemy, enchanting can be a hugely wealth-positive endeavor, if we're thorough about it. So, put away the glass, the goat hide, the horker tusk, the mammoth tusk, the saber cat pelt. My leather strips go in here. Keep my common soul gems. The rest is just for enchanting or disenchanting. So let's head to the Arcane Enchanter. Let me make sure I'm still rested, because I've been bouncing around some. Okay, we are still rested. Good. Let's start by disenchanting. Ring of Minor Smithing, enchanting to 24. Ring of Stamina, enchanting to 25. So we've learned Fortify Smithing and Fortify Stamina. Not bad. Next, I can enchant the Hide Bracers using a common soul gem, and what will be the most valuable? Fortify Smithing. Alright, let's put that on there. Enchanting raises to 27. What about leather boots? Fortify Stamina, resist fire. That raised enchanting to 28. And now I have these two little fellas to sell. I think that's it. Yes, other than that we're done. So, let's put the Thief Stone back on. Our little bit of tedium is nearly finished. Head to Riverwood one last time. We can offload this gear onto Alvor. They're both pieces of armor, so he'll buy them. And that will be it for Riverwood and for this video. Well, here's Alvor. Let's sell him the fruits of our enchanting labors.
Looking to protect yourself or deal some damage?
Alright.
Okay.
So, I'm going to park myself at this exit gate, and I'm going to call it a video. We're not quite going to go to Bleak Falls Barrow yet. You may have noticed we passed by a location between here and the Guardian Stones. That's Ember Shard Mine, and that's what I'm going to tackle in the next video. So until then, thank you for watching Let's Play Skyrim, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.